As the clock strikes 7, the vibes alive. Inner circles here, where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come on, come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the call. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the business episode of the Inner Circle podcast. Today is Wednesday, it's our business segment, and Wednesday, December 3rd, third day of December, last month of the year. Tonight we are talking about community capital. Can we really make each other millionaires? So, it's our business and finance segment. Tonight we're going big, we're thinking big, we're going big, we're doing it big, because I'm feeling that millionaire spirit. I know Miss B is already a millionaire, so she might be feeling, so she
I
so
claim it. I claim it.
so
Good
she
evening, everyone. It's your girl, Miss B, here Wednesday, minding the business that pays me. Welcome to the show. I
yeah.
think this conversation is very timely. I do.
Mm. Okay, that's good. Well, folks, again, I'm your host, Ib Kamara, and thank you for joining us, for sticking with us, a little bit late, but it is what it is, where we are here to bring this important conversation to you. My co-host is very dedicated, committed, and making sure that we get inner circle podcast popping. Coming at you with important information. So you can contribute to the conversation tonight by putting a comment in the chat. And also, man, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, LinkedIn, X, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your information, your podcast, things like that. So, but man, though, I know I definitely agree with you. This conversation is timely, but before we get into that, right, a lot of current events going on, right? We always got to touch on a little bit of current events, what's on our mind. Our community right now, Minnesota, it's one of those communities that's been targeted for ice raids, and it's probably going on as we speak.
Yeah,
And then another
unfortunately.
community in and another community in New Orleans is going through the same thing. So two communities at the same time. So if you are immigrant out there, we know how you feel. To the Somali community, we know how you feel, right? It is a immigrant platform. So whatever your political persuasion, your affiliation is, as an immigrant, we feel the need, right, to kind of be in solidarity with anyone feeling under siege tonight, stuff like that. So, Miss B, your thoughts?
I mean, because of what I do on a daily basis is troubling, right? Like news comes in real time for us sometimes, even as early as this week, and saying, we know in the headlines that the Somalis are being targeted, but African immigrants as a whole are really being targeted here in Minnesota and being picked up in droves on a regular basis. People are coming and saying, family members are being taken. On Sunday, before I forget, there is going to be a meeting. I'm not going to disclose the location. So if you want to reach out to me, here is my contact information. You can reach me at denisebgould@gmail.com, or you can give me a call at 612-217-0282. And we'll post it up here a little bit along the screen if possible. But just to say, on December 7th, on Sunday, because of everything that's been happening, there will be a meeting. Location not to be disclosed. That's why you should send me an email or call me to get more information about the meeting. But the meeting is going to address resources. What can we do in these times? How can we be our brothers and sisters keeper, to make sure that people have access to resources and just have access to information. So we're coming together and hosting a conversation with communities and other folks to see how we can best continue to support people.
Yeah, well, that's a good initiative. And I think immigrants all over, right? I mean, to me, I don't think a specific group, right? Is that because one immigrants from, so long you are immigrant, whether from Western Europe, North Africa, East Africa, Latin America, it's like there's no pick and choosing. What I mean,
Mm-mm.
what's on any community can be targeted at any time. I was studying Peterson, my regular co-host on Tuesdays, on our show last night. I said some Liberian dude or some Liberian kid might get up one day and go shoot someone and say, okay, every Liberian might be might become a target, right? So you never know, right? Like the Afghan lunatic who went and shot two national guardsmen. So it can happen to any community, it can happen to anyone. So I think all immigrants are kind of going through that same thing right now. We just gotta be in solidarity with one another. And here at the Inner Cycle Podcast, we're here to empower, amplify, and elevate immigrant voices, and we feel the need to be in solidarity. So that's a great initiative you guys are taking on. But that's that. And then you got anything to say?
No, go ahead.
Anything?
Go ahead.
The second thing is, since it's a business segment, I know, have you heard about the Trump accounts?
Say more. Say
Okay,
more.
okay. So when the big beautiful bill was passed, the triple Bs, where when the one big beautiful bill was passed, there was a provision in there that created a Trump account. So anyone
Mhm.
born between 2020 and 2020, 2020 and 2025, 2020 and 2025, those are having kids right now up to 2029. The U.S. government will deposit $1,000
Oh, I
into
did hear about that.
into the kids account, right? And so for those having kids right now, if you're having kids, I guess maybe there's the best number. It's like an IRA. You know what an IRA is? Like individual retirement
I
account.
just
But
about to say you need to explain to people. And the
yeah,
audacity, I'm about to say, what impact is that going to have?
no, that's the thing, right? Is like if someone is born today, you put a
Mm-hmm.
1,000 as an initial investment, and then
Mm-hmm.
their relative, their parents or anyone can contribute to that account for the kids, right? It grows over time, until they become 18. You know what I mean? And stuff is like, and it's being invested like not directly in the stock market, but in some index funds, right?
Ding, 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 ding.
In some
So
index funds.
basically,
So
I'm
so
America, and
with
this is another engine I'm going to use
okay.
to make more money off my money in the name of we're creating these accounts for children. This country does nothing just wholeheartedly for free, basically. But
Oh,
go
it's
ahead.
free. That's free. That's to give kids, especially from lower income and middle class kids, like I mean a step ahead, right? It's like give them a start, like here, like a child born today, they put a deposit of $1,000, where you as a parent you commit yourself, you say, you know what, gosh, the government already put $1,000 in there. I will go and maybe put $200 in there every month plus $1,000, and then to add on to that, Marco Dell, right, the founder of Dell Computers, yesterday donated $6.5 billion to create additional, for 25 million kids, additional, to add like, I mean, up to 25 million kids to that. I mean, to what the government is already doing. So to expand the what? To expand the pool. So I think, I mean, with the
If you
Marco Dell
gave
own,
parents, if you gave parents livable wage jobs, they can save for their kids tomorrow. Do
no,
today
no
and
matter how much
allow
you
me
pay
to
a
do
human
what I
being,
need
no
to do
matter how
for
much you
you.
pay a human being, their needs will always, their needs or their wants will grow.
We
So
always find some other way band-aid type of band-aid to put on. You're giving. I have a child. You know what it costs me to take care of that child annually? I know we want because we're worrying about population size in this country. On one end, we're deporting people, and on the other end, we're worrying about population size, right? As far as the population in America, is not growing the way in which we want it to grow. So I feel like this is an incentive around that. Basically, that's basically what that is. This is not about trying to educate people, because if you want to educate students, say, you know what, we're going to provide free education, at least from public
trying to
colleges
empower them to
and
make them rich.
universities.
We want to talk about education here. It's trying to empower
But
them to be rich.
that's the thing. We're saying education, a good job will empower you to be rich. $1,000 is in a, what is it, a Roth? What is it, a RIA?
Individual, yeah, IRA, individual retirement account, but for
Okay,
kids.
retirement account.
Yeah, individual retirement account,
Individual
like
retirement account.
IRA.
They
Yeah.
haven't entered the employment system, and but yeah, we're already creating an individual retirement account for them.
That means when they reach
Basically,
18, they can tap it for anything to put up. Let's assume they reach 18 and they want to access it to what? To fund their education, right? Their college education, or maybe they want to buy a home, right? At a certain age, I mean, they want to buy a home. They can always tap into that. tax free.
Nobody, no legislator sat down and asked the poor people what they really wanted. When I hear some of these plans and systems being put in place, that just shows me no one really sat down with the low income people and asked them what they wanted. Nobody sits down with them and figure out what are the real solutions. How do we address the root cause of poverty in this country? It's low income for a reason. That word low is in front of it. It's not, we didn't say no income. I keep always to remind you every Wednesday. We're not talking about no income. We're talking about low income. The reality is it has the word low in front of it. That is the problem right there. We're starting off with a deficit. We're already starting off with a deficit for the fact that I'm dealing with low income and I'm not dealing with livable income, right? And so again, today, right now, before I even get ready to have this baby, I'm homeless. I have no health care. I'm making $10 an hour. Address all of these things before you even talk about the fact that if and when I do get pregnant, and if and when I do have this baby, because the healthcare system for having that child is a whole nother thing. And we know Black women experience the worst when it comes to the healthcare system. So address me having the healthcare first and foremost that I'm going to need to bring this healthy baby into the world. And once this baby comes, address me having the resources, the financial resources I'm going to need to take care of this child for the next 18 years before we talk about creating a $1,000 Roth IRA account in hopes that somewhere magically I strap my bootstraps up, I educate myself, I better my income, and now I can add to that pot of money that you guys have blessed me with, right? I don't know where we came up with these things. We're done making electrical cars, so now we got to figure out how to do what.
So you see, folks, let me just say this, right? Every Wednesday we'll talk about business and finance, but sometimes one hour end up my co-host here is like she want everything free for everybody. And we're
No,
trying to create generational wealth. We're trying to like tonight we're talking about millionaires, right? Community capital, and she here advocating for. Look, Miss B is like I think like you liberals and you progressive are never satisfied. However, with the welfare system doesn't work. Socialism doesn't work. I think there's a great initiative the government have taken on, right? Can they do more? I think so, right? I mean, is that because it's like
go back to the drawing board, people. Do not
okay,
waste taxpayer dollars putting up these $1,000 accounts. Nobody's asked you for it. And first of all, you're not even addressing kids that are here right now starving. You're not. So
okay,
yeah,
okay.
they're gonna put money into somebody's stock market, somebody's stock, and make that person rich because now that money is being allocated to them. For kids that are not even here yet, right? We want us to plan for kids that are not here when we have millions and million kids that were here. 15 million kids was going to be missing out on SNAP. 15 million kids. Let's address that. Why do we have 15 million kids in this country depending on the SNAP benefits food system? But yet you want to address newborn babies being born and putting $1,000 into a IRA account. There's so many things wrong with this. It has nothing to do with socialism.
Okay.
But you're
Well, folks.
excited about it.
Well, folks, I just want to let to all you new parents out there. I just want to inform you guys. Just want to bring that up. I know Miss B doesn't like the idea, but there's a Trump account out there, right? If you don't know about it, ask your your tax preparer, ask whoever your financial advisor is, ask your banker or something. Is there? So if you are new parents, there's a Trump account for your kids, and I think you parents have to find out about it. So I just want to bring that up. I know my co-host doesn't agree with it. She said it does. She said she
Somebody,
doesn't think it will work.
somebody loves
And
them so
Marco,
much.
and the CEO of Dell Computers, Marco Dell, have committed additional $6.5 billion to that initiative. So hey, maybe other billionaires might come out and say, who knows?
There's
Elon
some
Musk might
major
come out.
tax break. There's some major tax break, first of all, he's getting. Let's express that. Donating $6.5 billion. God knows he probably made on top of that $6.5 probably produced maybe 30 billion, and therefore he needs to to avoid paying taxes on the 30 billion. He needed to donate the $6.5 billion, right? It's some tax break he's getting from donating that money. And again, instead of giving that money directly to the people that need it, we find some kind of product We have a serious problem with giving poor people more money in this country. We always want to find some kind of product or create some kind of system to funnel the money to them instead of giving the money directly to them.
Okay, folks. So I said there, right? The Trump accounts, for kids that are born, from now I think through 2029. So take advantage of that if you are new parents. And I think your income limit for a family making $150,000. That's the highest you have to make. That's the income limit. So find out about it. You never know. You might be qualified. I
Oh,
mean, I
a lot of us qualify. Hundred
okay.
and
So
fifty thousand dollar income level.
family,
Uh,
family, family, family.
oh, both husband and wife income put together.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a family. It's not individual. It's not individual. Okay. So, okay. So anyway,
Poor
those are the
Abraham,
two
he
things.
never qualifies for anything. That's why he doesn't. That's why he doesn't speak in you guys' favor.
Not so it's like so. Anyways, we are talking about community capital tonight. Can we really make each other millionaires? And we are talking about our African immigrant community, right? Our Black community. Well, we need to create generational wealth. Miss B, take it away.
I think at first I want to give a shout out to Emmett Johnson. He's in Nebraska. He's wide receiver for Nebraska University. He has a really great story. He's Liberian. His parents are Sam and Precious Johnson. I actually went to Jorwa Mission Church with them. So, all the Jorwa folks listening out, a great Liberian family. Son has a great story. He was here in Minnesota. Unfortunately, nobody was really checking for him. He gets to Nebraska, and now he's NFL bound basically after
Okay.
1 year of being in Nebraska. And he said, what I realized is that never give up on yourself. Always keep going. He said nobody wanted me, meaning no schools. Nebraska took a chance on him, and it's paid off. And he might be lining up to be a pick. So right now, Heisman, all those things are coming up for him. And so I start with that because when we talk about creating wealth, right? African parents, support your kids in their arts, their activities. That's investment that's going to pay off. We pray that, God keeps him covered, keeps his body in shape. But reality is, and he said it, he looks forward to playing the NFL and taking care of his parents, right?
Yeah.
And him making it to the NFL, becoming successful, it's not just going to be taking care of his parents. You got his siblings and who know how many generations to come, right? So when we talk about growing wealth, those are some of the ways in which we grow wealth in our community. And I don't want to just think about the money aspect only, but it just, again, parents, African immigrant parents, African parents, we need to think about the whole aspect of our kids and not necessarily just going to school and making straight A's, right? We have some kids who are playing instruments. I mean, do you know what it is to perform at Carnegie Hall? Do you know what it is to elevate their musical talents to those heights and those levels? And it costs investments. That's paying for their lessons, buying their equipment whenever they outgrow it. And so their instrument whenever they outgrow it. There are so many ways we can invest in our kids today that's going to pay off financially, and allow them to become wealthy. So I just want to kind of start the conversation there.
Well, I mean that's a good one. I do agree with you, right? We need to invest in our kids. I think holistically, it shouldn't just be you gotta, the excuses, whether you're a single parent, yeah, two family, two parents home. You need to take the time. You can't say, you're too busy. It's like these kids go to sports and events, or if somebody whatever they want to be into, you gotta support their dreams. You gotta be engaged. You gotta be
Yeah,
involved. Like, you can't just
definitely.
do the doubles and say, hey, life will take care of them, right? You need to, no matter what, you need to. And I mean, it's like there's some great stories with single mom placing kids. I always go back to Kevin Durant. When he received the MVP in the NBA, he dedicated it to his single mom. He said she was a real MVP because what? She sacrificed everything for him to get to where he is today, or where
Mhm.
it's same way with LeBron James, right? So as parents, especially African immigrant parents, right, we need to take that seriously. Like we need to support our kids' dreams. We need to support them. We need to me. uh while we are talking about welfare, to me that's the greatest investment. That is like I tell people and I tell friends sometimes, like I could be living, maybe like, I sometimes probably like in a big apple, in some kind of a condo, or
Yeah,
in
in a
downtown
condo
Minneapolis,
downtown. I mean, a
you
luxury
know.
condo,
Okay, but
like in the suburbs.
I think the greatest investment for me, right, is making sure my kids have everything they need. The rest of it is vanity. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, I like to promote wealth. I like to talk about wealth. But the greatest wealth for me is my kids and educating them. Making sure that they have the best education, they have the best life, so that tomorrow they will say, "Oh gosh, my dad did everything for us to be what we are today." And so it's just that support. Some of them might make it, some of them might not make it. And don't compare your kids to other kids. Oh yeah, nah.
Do that.
Every child is different. Especially raising kids in this America is a whole nother ball game. When your kids
Yes,
is doing well, thank God,
yes,
right? Don't say, oh, my kid is better than, and when he's not doing good, just try to keep, encouraging him or her, to get on the right track. I know sometimes we African parents can be very harsh, we can be very strict, but it's
yes,
just about trying to build that relationship. And as they grow up, they start realizing, oh God, I think I have it good. They might not appreciate it as they, but at certain point they will.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we talk about growing wealth is investing in everything around us, right?
Mhm, mhm.
As we talk about it's starting in the home. What are the decisions that we're making early on that's going to pay? We're going to see that return on that investing later on. Be it the kids, money management. Um, a lot of parents, I tell them, I say, yes, it's great to have these successful careers, but you can't pass it on to your children. I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day, and they were trying to figure out, what's next for them. And I said, what are your talents? What are the things that you think you can do outside of this job that you have? And, I was like, because at the end of the day, you can't leave your 9 to 5 to your kids, right? And so they was like, you know what? You are so right. That is so true. I said, yes. So what is it that you can find to do now that's going to be able to bring you wealth, in the future? And financial wealth, mind you, there's millionaires and there's billionaires. So there's levels to it, right?
Right.
There is a comfortable number, right? That's why you're able to do the retirement numbers and stuff like that. So there's a comfortable number. Figure out what that comfortable number is and let that be your goal to start. And the extra can just be extra, right? And so when we come to the topic today is community capital. Can we really make each other millionaires? Yes, we can. We really can. And there's so many ways that can look like. There's so many, different models and forms that could take and shapes that can take to produce what I feel is a comfortable lifestyle. And for me, comfortable is I get to decide how. It's not that you're not going to be working. I get to decide what my time looks like. I get to be able to choose the things that I want to prioritize my time to be spent on. So it's about comfortable, and that equals wealth.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with you, right? And to me, that's a radical idea, especially when it comes to our community, right? Community capital. To me, is like most of us, and I agree with your point where in like at what comfort level, because chasing wealth, you gotta know what your end goal is. You know, hey man, if you're trying to be the Elon Musk, forget about it. Because, or maybe you try to be the Michael Dells, forget about it. But what's your comfort level, right? Like I was just telling a friend, a relative of mine before we got on here, says like, as we grow, your expenses, right, is that you hope that, oh God, like your expenses grow and it never gets back, and it
Oh
never
my
goes
God.
back down.
No.
So if you want to say, oh yeah, I want to control my expenses, no, think about how can you grow your income. Think about the income side of things, because when you look at it, especially now that we live in an inflationary environment, your expenses unfortunately doesn't go down because things prices go up. Things out, especially with living in America, emergencies can come from anywhere and hit
Whew.
you, and sometimes that's not even in your budget. So always think about a way how to grow your income, or how to find different income streams. And one of the ways to me is like creating community capital. coming together with a group of friends. I know back way back at in the summer, three of us, you, myself, and all of our panelists, we talk about
Yep.
group investment, I mean, things like that, and that's what it is. We're community capital. How can 5 friends, 18 friends, like you talk about the Alibaba example, 17 friends coming together and putting their capital together, and and for lack of a better word, amplifying that, multiplying that, to make sure that it grows. Because sometimes when you are doing it by yourself in silos, it
Yeah.
becomes
I don't
it
want to be
becomes
a solo
difficult.
entrepreneur. It's
Yeah,
nothing
it
sexy
becomes
about that.
difficult.
It's a
And I,
struggle.
and I think these are some of the things that is really, really hampering our growth in the immigrant community, in the African immigrant community. That's what hampering our growth, because a lot of us got great ideas, a lot of us got great businesses, right? We are now waiting to bring other people on board to what? To do it together. Everybody want to do their own thing because obviously there's that trust factor. But this has to be a radical idea that we need to start embracing. Other than that, man, it's like we are never going to get to that comfortable place where, like you say, yeah, you can control your time, you can, I mean, everything else.
And so this is the power of coming together. So when we think about these nightclubs, right? If we do it by ourselves, it takes us a year, 2 years. When you think about Vegas and all those hotels and those casinos, right? First
Hmm.
of all, I shouldn't be having to utilize this example, but we're gonna go with it because it's the truth. The mob created Vegas, and the mob. What we know, what the mob means is a bunch of Italian families coming together. Families, right? So these people were able to come together and grow wealth, and we know the average Sicilian size family, you're talking about hundreds of people, right? They had large families. And so just think about large families and across maybe 5, 10, 20 families of large people coming together and saying, we're going to start gambling. We're going to start, selling numbers. They were going to open casinos. And them coming together meant that instead of taking a year to open one, in 1 year, you could open five.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, in 1 year you can open five. So now when we on Monday we're talking about how we have the jumbo, we have the purple rose, we have Casa Afrique. We counted four, right?
Yeah. We have
Oro
Oro,
and
yeah.
Oro. We count, and that's just four again in the northwest suburbs. If we really wanted to go further, we could count Gold Room would make five, and then Giddy would make six. And there's probably more African nightclubs. Because some people have one night in a nightclub, and they're calling it, African nightclub.
Hmm.
But just think about the time it took for all of those to open, right? Within the
Hmm.
last decade.
Hmm.
And if you're working as a community, bringing your capital together, within the last decade, we opened maybe seven. What we could have done in the last decade is probably triple that if we were doing community capital. And so, seven, giving everybody the benefit of the doubt, the net profit from those seven probably come together maybe equals $1 million, maybe, right? Because you're selling liquor. Yes, you're making money off the liquor, but the taxes and you're paying for that
Hmm.
liquor license is eating away at some of that profit.
Yeah.
And so, whereas again, 21 in a year could bring you probably 21 million,
Yeah.
right? In net proceeds on an annual basis, right? And so that is the difference between doing it individually by yourselves. Even if these clubs, let's just say maybe hypothetically have 2, 3 people, it's still not enough of volume of capital to be able to grow the wealth the way in which we're trying to measure up. When we really want to talk about wealth, we're always talking about the Oprahs and the Jeff Bezos. To grow that a value amount of wealth in a shorter time, because you're really trying to grow it in a shorter time span. Amazon is 30 years old. Uh, 2018, I think Jeff Bezos became a billionaire. So you can see, and here it is, we're realistic. Our mind, even though it's not realistic, is thinking, I want to create that level of wealth probably in a shorter time span. I probably what took him 30 years. I'm sitting down here with the social media and all the gimmicks of today thinking I can build that level of wealth in the next 5 to 10 years. You wish. But that's just the mindset. And so if you're trying to grow that level of wealth that fast, it's not going to be done. There's no way it's going to be done by you. Even if you're a tech, even if you're in tech, it's not going to be done just you.
But I mean, the thing you should understand about that, right? Jeff Bezos didn't get rich by himself, right? Because the
Exactly.
American system doesn't reward individual effort. The
No.
American system, or the capitalist system, which I mean, is like doesn't really reward individual effort. What it rewards capital.
Yep.
It rewards capital. So if all of you come together, because like wait, when Amazon was just operating by itself as a private company, Jeff Bezos wasn't a millionaire or billionaire. Once it went public, a publicly traded company where now the capital is deployed, everybody can invest in Amazon and get a little profit. So oh yeah, the way Amazon is being operated and stuff like that, I can buy their stock, I can buy shares in Amazon and whatever. So the American system value capital. Okay. So if you guys can come together and put your capital together and put it to work, the multiplying effect is so effective versus you just taking your individual capital, putting in all that effort, putting in all that work, working twice as hard, but you're not getting the return to the likes of, the publicly traded company or the likes of the Bezos and all other stuff because it is just an individual effort. You might get there, right? You might get to your comfortable place, but the where you really need to get to experience that true wealth, you might never get there. And most of us don't even get to our comfortable space because it's all we are putting in so much individual effort and
You
not
guys are
focusing on the
small.
capital.
You're minuscules. Minuscules. To be looked at as a anywhere as a real good small business, you're talking at minimum be having 100 employees. And the folks we're talking to are not even beyond themselves.
Mhm.
And some of them been in these businesses for the last 20, 25 years. And it's not beyond them. To even be having the conversation on the level of a millionaire, forget the Jeff Bezos, because you're nowhere near there. To even be having the conversation on being a multimillionaire, when we talk about multimillionaire, and that's people worth net 50 million and up. That's where you really start to say multimillionaire. 10 million, 20 million, you're still not there. We're talking people multimillionaires considered 50 million and up, right? And so to even begin to enter into that level, you have to be talking at minimum you've built your company to at least 100 employees. And had 100 employees probably for the last 10 plus years. Because you will hear some companies been around 15 years, you think they're a large company, 50 employees, and they're still not net proceeds, they're not making 10 million annually. So just think, when we really start to break these numbers down for you folks, just think the idea that you went and opened a group home this year, that is not a small feat at all. That is not something to look down at or think little of it. That is a huge accomplishment. If you opened a business, you have something, you've registered it, you've been able to open the doors, you've been able to get customers. We are not downplaying that at all. What we're talking about is scaling. That's what the conversation is really about, scaling. And you can enter the market at that scalable size already. You could have entered the market with not just one group home servicing 4 people. You could enter the market having an assisted living building with 192 rooms.
And that's serving. I mean, and that has the potential. Not even has the potential, right? The license for that is so different, right? You have
Yes.
you have access to every clientele, right? You have access to every clientele that you can think about because there's no restriction on those kind of facilities.
Yes. So it's a difference. So don't think you have to be having a mindset of entering in the market with just that one home that serves 4 people. Yes, we got to start where we feel we can best start, But again, you're already limiting your profitability by having a small mindset on what it is that you're opening.
It said that we are so afraid to share though, right? Because there's a constant power in our community. Are we so afraid to share? I mean, we are talking about trust factor. The first time we had it, we have similar conversation. We talk about trust factor in a community, but in this America, right? There's nothing really to fear if we can put the structures together. The legal system here can take care of those things. If we can put if we can put all of the structure, the foundational piece together, I don't think there's anything really to fear there.
That we don't want to share. I know two people that are really close to me. Both of them very hardworking, know their stuff, very smart nurses. Um, the audacity for me to ever open my mouth and say, "Oh, why don't the two of you come together?" I think, and this is you probably going to want to bring my socialist side, but I think this is me bringing my humanity side and saying we have been traumatized by divide and conquer. It is a real thing, and we
Hmm.
need to have real conversations towards healing, and that will bring the level of trust that we need to have. I notice this every time I'm in a restaurant. I will see a group of white men, just all white men. At any given time, they'll be in a coffee shop together, they'll be at a restaurant together. And some of the sweetest part of that is it's intergenerational. It's intergenerational. That's why white people are able to grow wealth larger and quicker than we are. You don't think about those things, but those things is very important. When I see that, I said that is why their companies grow. They enter the market well, and that's why they have these large corporations. The fact that I'm seeing a group of white men sitting down at a coffee shop together, and they're at a restaurant together, and they're there with their from the grandfather to the grandson to the dad, the uncles, the nephews, that shows there's a lot of training and conversations happening. I bet you that's where the new company got created. That's where an old company got sold. That's where the succession plan took place, at that dinner table at that restaurant. And you didn't realize that was happening because you just went there to eat. I don't see that for our black men. I don't ever get to see. The only place I see our black men congregated together, unfortunately, is at the nightclub, at the lounge. They know how to get the VIP session. They know how to be well dressed. Oh my gosh, well dressed, well groomed, in VIP, holding that bottle with the latest iPhone in their hand. They do that so well. They collectively come together to be in that VIP and buy bottles and compete to see who's going to buy the most bottles. And so, it's I think there's healing that needs to happen. Constant conversation and education that we really need to address. People feel that we hurt each other, but I'm telling you, the same level of the lack of trust or ripping, feeling that we rip each other off, or if I did business with Abraham, he wasn't ethical with me. It's happening there. It's happening there, but that's why they put system in place and measurements in place. You learn from it. You don't give up on the process and say, I'm not
No,
going to bother.
no,
That's John and Jack. That's never an option for them. They're
yeah.
just going to decide, you know what? Jack is going to go work with Dan now, and John's going to go work with Paul. But they're never deciding that they're not going to be involved in the process, that they're going to come and do it by themselves.
Definitely. It just was a great, to me, that's a great point right there, right? Look, no one group is perfect. The Caucasian that you just mentioned, right, is like, to get to where they are, they went through so many hoops. Are they corrupt and scheming people in those places? Yes. In those groups? Yes. But they never stop working together. They never stop working together. You can have the worst credit to me as a white person. You go to a bank, stuff like that. And 99.9% of the time, I think to me, you're gonna what? They might consider you to say, hey, right? They might ask you one or two questions, or maybe try to, see how best they can get you back on your feet, or try to come with ways. But I think they will find a way. But in our community, we don't, because it's like we don't give each other the chance. right? We don't take risks on one another. You
I
know,
know.
we just stereotype one another. And to me, right, like the mental health aspect you brought up, that maybe we need healing, because obviously, right, to number one, life is risk. And to your point, we take risks in so many areas, especially black people. We take risks in so many areas. But the
Yeah.
one place we don't take risk when it comes to money and business, especially fun. We never want to take risks. The only risk we want to take, to your point, right, when it comes to maybe having the biggest party. You
Yeah.
know, you see someone throw a $50,000 party without without even thinking twice about it. You say, "Whoa, really?" You know, and that's why I had a conversation with someone yesterday, especially not in other communities, but in our Liberian community. There's so many former rich people. Someone we have, honestly, right? Someone we have is that, yeah, I've had people that have handled like 10 million, millions of dollars.
Former rich people. Yes. Paid
Obviously,
homes
right?
off.
They
Have
will
paid
actually be
homes off
sitting,
in our
they will
lifetime.
be sitting down having conversation with you. Oh, I used to have XYZ. I used to travel the world. And then I'm sitting there like, are you hearing yourself mentally? Are you okay? You actually handle that much money, and then and then you end up where you are, right? Because number one is the trust issue, right? Number two, the things that the our priorities sometimes is so out of line. But let's assume if it was community capital that we're deploying, some of the mistakes we make, I don't think we try to put each other back in line, but we don't do it. The Caucasian, if one person, if they have a group of investors and things like that, and one person going out of line, they will try to find a way to bring that person back in line
Yeah.
because they don't want to risk the overall uh business.
We don't even want to bring on employees and create this pipeline to ownership for our employees. College. I'm in St. Thomas. Um, I won't say his name, but he's very successful now. A friend of mine, white guy, only child. I met him. He already had a boat cleaning business, a successful boat cleaning business, where he had either like 10 or 12 employees. Of course, they're college students, but it's that mindset. He looked at it as I have this business, and we probably would be thinking, oh, this, me and my friends didn't just clean boats. No, I have a business. These are my 10 or 12 employees. This is the schedule because, we were interning for
Hmm.
a financial advisory company. And so we're heading to the annual meeting, and, conversation is we're having, and we're talking about this. And I was like, wow. And of course, mind you, he has sold that boat cleaning business now, and he's successful in the financial industry. But you're talking, what, 19, 20 years old?
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that now this person has probably built their financial business with 20 employees, multiple employees, right? People working underneath him, right? And so we don't even want to, hire them for what reason? They're going to do this, they're going to do that. I will do it all myself. It's like every position in your company, you want to be the person in that position. 5 departments within your company, your business, you want to be the lead staff member in each department of your business. You don't even want to take the chance to say, let me hire somebody. And that person you're hiring could be the best investor into your company.
Hmm.
They've been
Hmm.
there, they're growing with you. And oftentimes when I hear about a restaurant being bought, Alan Almas is a prime example. The new current owners, and that's the charter boat service that we all take. All these boat rides we're having white parties, wearing whites and getting on the boat. The current owner are people that used to work there.
Yeah.
Your husband and wife that owns it now are previous employees of that place, right? Oftentimes when you have white businesses, if their kids don't want to take over, it gets handed to their employees. They'll come and buy it from
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
And so the employee today could become that investor that you will need down the line when the business calls for a time to scale up. So that's what it means sometimes as coming as far as community. We go to Asian restaurants and we see only Asians are there. Over time, they all start to invest in it. You see Sun Foods, it didn't grow overnight, right? It's a bunch of Asians are coming and having these Asian malls. They own Dragon Star. They own Sun Foods. When you go and see, you will see the name is an Asian, a bunch of Asian people, Asian family, and
Hmm.
other families coming together and own these areas. They own a lot of St. Paul Frogtown area,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Again, it doesn't even have to say bring somebody on as an investor right away. It could just start from the people who you hire on into your business as employees can become your next investors.
And that's the thing, right? Community capital doesn't only mean like everybody have to pull their capital together.
Mm-mm.
There are some people with great ideas. They don't have the resources, but they have the ideas, and their work ethic sometimes might be far way more effective and innovative than yours. Bring them on board, right? Bring them on board to see how best the community capital here we're talking about, right? Because making each other millionaires, right? Not everybody have to pull the physical cash together.
No,
Okay.
it's intellectual property. Like right now, I know how smart he is and what he can bring on. If he doesn't have capital, I don't care. I'm bringing him for his intellectual property. That is equity. That is legitimate equity, and we can sit down and create a partnership agreement, folks. If you have a friend who's an accountant, you have a friend who's a banker, you have a friend who's a lawyer, right? Those are all things that businesses need. And so it's called sweat equity. Look it up. And we calculate the hours in which that person puts into the business to equate to the monetary value they bring in, and therefore that is their investment into the company, and that becomes legitimate shares. And when we think about the Andrew Carnegie's and the Rockefeller times, that's what was happening. Like, somebody will have money, and you know how to build the cars, you know how to draw the blueprint for that building, right? But they have the money, so now we've created a development company, and everybody is getting shares in that, you know. And so instead of the money you're going to pay me, when we start to make money, we're going to turn that money into my shares into the business for the
Yeah.
time that, for the intellectual property that I brought, or the sweat equity, all my hours I've been working. Because you know what I say, I have the physical wherewithal to provide for this business right now, even though I may not have the capital. And that's how a lot of these older white companies that we see today, 100 years old, been around since 1867, that's how they did it.
But even new companies, out of these, some of these
Still do
AI
it.
companies, some of these, technology startups, the Microsoft, the Apples, these guys never had the money,
Facebook,
right?
there you
They
go,
just,
right
they
there.
just, they just, they just,
His
they just
Southeast
had it.
Asian friends had the money. He didn't have
Nah,
the money. Mark didn't have the money. He
they,
had the mind. He had the
that's,
idea. Yeah.
yeah, and they have venture capitalists sometimes. Once the ideas grow, right? Venture capitalists come and pull. The same thing, community capital. And things like that. So that's a good point, right? You don't need physical cash. But again, the mentality sometimes we have in our community, looking down upon one and looking down upon each other. They think like me versus them, right? It's like even though we are broke, I won't say poor, but the class system in our community is huge. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Once I have little take, everyone else has been out it's been out me, right? I don't want to battle with them, I don't want to deal with them. They might have the greatest idea, but because I feel they're not at my level, I don't know what level is. I don't know what level something will be measuring up to, right? But they are not at my level, so I don't want to battle with them. I don't want to bring them on board. I feel like their ideas or whatever contribution they need to make doesn't matter because they are not at my so-called level. And we need to start, taking off these kind of lenses, right? Taking away these lenses, right? To look, man, if we actually want to create community capital, if we actually want to make each other millionaires, can we actually make each other millionaire? The answer has been we say yes.
Yes.
But we need to be intentional about it. We need to look beyond our biases because
Yes.
sometimes we are so biased towards one another, and that's what is hindering our growth, right? That's what hindering our growth, as I said. But like, I mean, considering the amount of years Liberians have operated group home in this community, by now they should be owning assisted living facilities.
Yeah.
If only they were putting that capital
The
together,
size of
that
the
community
HCMC.
capital.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have been doing that now because it's like they should have been on a different level, right? DHS will not be looking at them by now because I hear that DHS is about to audit, most of the group homes that, with
It's
everything else going on.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I'm praying for my folks. I'm praying for my folks because I know people who have recently just bought homes
Mm,
and are in the process of applying for their licenses. And
hmm.
I've learned that there's a moratorium being put in place.
For new facility.
Yep. And so that's what that means, right? And so here is an industry that we entered successfully, but we have
No,
not been together.
no.
So we don't have an association. If we had the African Association for Group Homes, we would be able to come together right now and be going and having conversations with our legislators and position ourselves. We have caused, competition in the market. And I'm
Yeah,
sure the players who's been there before us are the ones who are having lobbyists
yeah.
to find a way to create it for us to make it harder for us to enter our market and for those who are already here to have to leave. I'm sure the powers that be are behind
No,
a lot
that's
of what's
look.
happening to us.
If there's a if you have easy barrier to entry and anybody can just come, I mean, like an industry that used to be so lucrative or making few people more, I mean, few people multi-millionaires,
Yep,
and now the barrier to entry has been so diluted, anybody can enter and they say, no, 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 wait a minute. What's going
yep,
on here, right? It's
yep,
like,
yep,
I mean, this thing used to be so lucrative, but now we have every Paul Peter, everyone entering this thing. I mean, what's going on here, right? So those of the deep pockets that have the association or the lobbyists, where they are willing to put in the social, I mean, put in the capital to make sure that their community is protected. They are the ones saying, you know what, I mean, you guys need to fix it. And I agree with you. But
yep.
because we are not together as a community, we are not together as a community. Who's going to talk for us? And at the end of the day, right? It is our community that's going to be really, really impacted because we are all everybody's on their own. And God
There's,
for all, as you say.
there's two things you have is organized money and organized power.
Yes, that's a good one. It's a good
Organized
one.
money and organized power.
And
And
especially in this country,
and
it's so powerful.
we lack both of them.
That's is like that is especially, man, and
They
it is.
don't want to talk to each other. The people that own group home in this community, they don't want to talk to each other. They don't know how to come together. If Abraham is struggling in some things, he's going to continue to be struggling in those things because he fears that if he's giving me a little bit of sauce. Are you kidding me? We met Dungarvin and Rem Hennep in here, people. The idea that you feel threatened by Abe.
Yeah, harmless. Mike, I'm very
The
harmless.
idea, the idea, on one end we can be so smart, but then on the other end, it's not to say we're dumb. It's like one end we don't think critical enough. That critical thinking where it needs to be applied is not happening. The idea that you are fearing the fact that Abraham has his one or two group homes is a threat to you, and you're not worried about the fact that Dungarvin, Rem, Saint, what is it, Mary T,
Mm-hmm.
and we
Mm-hmm.
all know them because we've all worked for these different group homes.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your competition. The idea that you're not worried about them and you're worried about Abe, the critical thinking that needs to be applied here is missing.
And the other thing too, right, is like, is it always like this survivor mindset that is always suffering us? We are always talking the survivor mindset. It's feel like I have to survive. I don't need to, I just need to survive by myself. I don't need anybody else. I mean, these are some of the things that soften us, right? Because we are always stuck in the survival mindset. We don't want to grow out of it. So it is creating hindrance, working together and being partners because if you don't want to survive, I want to do things by myself. I don't need anyone to, I gotta do this by myself. I gotta put my own bootstrap, right? I don't need anyone. I can do this by myself. It's just a survivor. And we come in a country that value our capital. And they don't value individual capital, folks. They value community capital. Because when you put it, I mean, the richest, look at BlackRock. The richest investors, these are the institutional investors.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people that are saying that on trillions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
That any company come up today that they
Worth
can
more
invest
than
in
Elon.
and good. Oh, we're talking about institutional investors like trillions and trillions and
Or
trillions
let
of
them know that, because people do,
dollars.
you got to simplify and clarify for our
You know,
audience, because
you know,
people don't put everything into perspective. So
so
these people are worth more than him.
oh, I mean, I said when talk about is like institutional investors, but you guys have boatload of money. Any company they can buy anything they want to buy. Okay, the BlackRock, you know, what I mean,
Rothschilds.
it's like anything they want to buy, they can any asset they can buy any asset. You know what I mean? There's a story like right now, right? One of the things right, what making home prices so high because institutional investors are coming buy single family homes.
Yep.
Okay, they are
And it's
buying.
not, and you're just looking at them buying the homes, but the reality is they're buying up land.
Okay,
The
yeah,
uber rich are buying up so much land. They're literally buying this country. They're buying this country, right? And we can't get mad at them, because again, my one or two group homes, I'm sitting on top of the world. I'm riding in Bentley. I've probably bought the nice house in St. Michael's. Um, I'm taking these trips. And so therefore I feel I've arrived and I've made it, right? And no, you're still a thousandaire.
yeah. And so you can if you can find ways to even at that stage, you can still to me even if you have like you have a successful business, you can still find a way to create a community capital. Now you can be the lead person now to say, hey man, you know what? Okay, I'm successful in here. I think I have arrived at a certain point, but I think I can do more. I think I can be the lead in trying to create a community capital to try to see how best I can make more individuals successful, right? How we can create, a community of millionaires, basically. A
I
community of
do.
millionaires.
And I think in that conversation, so whenever I do call a group of folks together to talk investment, I'm going to have to address the healing. We're going to have to address all the distrust and unlearn this distrust that we have for each other, unlearn these mindsets that we have for each other, right? Because here's another thing. Waterside, for instance, right? Let's just say if he came and say, you know what, I've done Waterside. I want to do something the size of a Walmart. Let's come together and do it. Some of the things we'll hear, unfortunately, is, oh, but what he need us for? Ain't he the big man? He can let him go do it.
It's mindset shift, though, right? It's mindset
You will
because
hear a lot of that.
if
Oh,
if
I don't
if
trust that man because something must be going on. Why all of a sudden now he wants to come and ask us to come together with him? When he was building Waterside, he didn't come to us to ask us. So why now? Oh, we can't. Something's going wrong. He's looking for money. He won't take our money. No.
But here's the thing, though, right? Just I think to me, where you shift that mindset is okay. Just look at the Amazon you talked about earlier, right? Jeff Bezos. These companies or the Meta or Facebook, right? Meta, Facebook, all these companies or Walmart or Target, they had to go public, meaning they had to open themselves up for other people to invest in them.
Yep.
To your example about Waterside, if Waterside come and want to generate and want to pull capital from the community, it's just like them are trying to pull resources together, trying to pull community capital together. Basically, they're going public in a way, bringing the community together to share in their prosperity. They
Yes.
feel they have the know-how. They feel they have already done this. They have become successful at it. Now they want to open a Walmart type of store. They say, you know what? We can go public and what and scale, but we can't scale by ourselves. Instead of me going to the bank, let me,
Start with my community first. That's the
exactly.
first, because before Jeff could go public, he had to look at $4.5 million worth of investments to come in. And then he was able to go public. And so even for Waterside to go to the next level, let's just say maybe he becomes a chain, right? In order to become a chain, let's say I decide in the next 2 years, I want to make sure that I open a new two locations every year. So that means in the next 2 years, I'm going to open four locations, four Waterside markets. And in order for him to do that, he's going to need investors to come in. So that's when he starts to prepare his portfolio or prepare himself for his investors to be able to look at his business and do his evaluation. But even then, at that point, we will have all kinds of things to say. And it will be a missed opportunity because when he gets beyond us, his immediate community, and he goes public now, the immediate community who could have had the opportunity. It's like you're just going to be a penny to the millions he's going to be getting from everybody else.
Who could have shared in our prosperity. Because it's
Yes.
shared prosperity that we are talking about here, right? Share prosperity. And that's the kind of this individual thing that we're doing to me is holding back our community, especially our West African community, our Liberian community is holding us back. Most of us have made it in certain way or another, but we are all doing it in silos, and we want to change our mindset, man, creating community capital, making each other millionaires. Our minds, there has to be a mindset shift. We have to look at the model of shared prosperity. Like Miss B, make it, I make it, right? Share prosperity. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with two of us riding Range Rovers or Bentley, or nothing wrong with us
No,
two of us
no.
living in multi-million mansion. There's nothing wrong with that, right? It's shared prosperity, and we should learn how to embrace that. But it starts with creating community capital, making each other millionaires.
So, and also, folks, they not every company has to go public. There are some privately held companies that are worth billions, right? Cargill, for instance, is still a privately held, one of the largest privately held
It's a
companies.
family bit. That's a
Yeah,
family
it's
business.
a family business. And
Yeah,
so, we can decide as a community that we've grown to a point where we don't want to go public and be on the stock market, but you can still be a large privately held company. And doesn't only have to be family, it can be other investors
yeah.
too as well. And so that's very much an option. And for me, one thing I don't like these days is a lot of the wealthier, black folks are selling their businesses, right?
Mhm.
Rihanna has sold Fenty, and others have sold their brand to LVMH, the bigger monster. Well, not monster, but bigger entity. But Tyler Perry has not. He has not sold any of his entities. And so I feel like that too in itself is we are growing and we're selling and we're not keeping that ability for generational wealth to happen. You cannot think generational wealth is only about the money that is in your bank account, like how much you're worth. It's not only just your assets, but generational wealth is about passing on these entities for generation and generations to come and growing into, well, there's systems that don't want you to be a conglomerate, but there are some. When you think about or a monopoly, but America deals with all those aspects. But what I'm trying to say here is, for so long, black wealth has not been a thing, and if we are in that place where a lot of this wealth transfer will happen, and we will get a piece of the pie, no doubt.
It's
Um,
happening right now.
it's happening now, right?
Mhm.
And so as that wealth is being transferred to us, and black people, black communities are getting a piece of this pie, let's think about how do we hold on to that and keep that in the community from generation to generation.
Okay. Well, fuck this is a 1 hour show, and we've been discussing community capital. Can we really make each other multi-millionaires or millionaires or whatever? I think the answer is yes. How can we do it? Right? It's a 1 hour show. We started late, so we don't want to keep dragging this. But Miss B, man, as we try to wrap this thing up, what is a message to folks that have been listening to us for the last 1 hour, and to all the folks that's going to be listening to this great, great segment, very important segment?
I feel like I have a purpose that I have been placed here for.
Mhm.
And with more and more with time, I'm finding out what that purpose is. And so I want to continue to be having these conversations, and I want to continue to open these conversations up far and wide. I mean, if you're out of state, my mindset around growing wealth, our mindset, the Inner Circle Park mindset around growing wealth is not just here in Minnesota. It's not just here in America, right? This can be on a global scale. So
Yeah.
reach out, let us know. What are people doing? What are people thinking about?
Yeah, and the other thing, right, as we close that to me, I just want to do when it comes to, how your friends will call you to, hey, I'm getting married, and can you please contribute, right? I'm having a party. Can you please contribute, right? So the point I'm trying to raise is that we support weddings, support funerals, we do GoFundMe, we support parties, graduation, but we hesitate to pull community capital together to invest. Think about that, right? We hesitate. I mean, anything when it comes to these things, right? That we really, we do it very well. We already love community. Community is our thing, but we hesitate. when it comes to community capital, as I said, it's like if a friend call you right now, I'm getting married, can you contribute XYZ? Man, you say, count me in, right? Is that you would do it. But why if that friend call you, man, I got this idea, can you pitch in like $250? The next thing you're gonna say, yeah, Miss B said, really, really,
She
really.
and she got all these businesses, and she been doing this thing. Why all of a sudden does she need? You
Yeah.
know, I'm gonna test the waters. I'm gonna call and say, folks, I have a great idea. Let's
Do
invest.
that. That maybe that's a homework, right? Just it
Yeah,
might be, some of your friends might consider it a prank. They will say, do that. That's your anybody that listening to us, right? That should be your homework. Instead of you calling your friend and saying, I'm having a party, they should bring drinks or whatever. Maybe just pitch. You never know what that conversation might lead to. You never know, right? What it might lead to. And the thing about it, man, we as immigrants in this country, even though they are doing mass deportation now, they are cracking down us left and right, but don't matter. It's your past. But here's the thing that we have the numbers, we have the talent, right? We have the drive. Yesterday Peterson and I talked about resilience. We have the resiliency, right, to do that. So nothing should stop us. The only thing is that we hesitate to come together to create this community capital to help each other become millionaires. And we need to do that where we have everything. We have the talent, the numbers, everything you think about, the resiliency and things like that. So that's the message I want to leave with you guys tonight, man. It's like, it's like we need to work on this. And Miss B homework is she might be dialing some of you up to not to contribute to her I they call it renewal vows. But
I'm on boundary. But to
okay.
contribute to a future business, I want to buy an apartment complex. I want to buy 12 units. And so
Oh,
I'm going to say everybody should give me $5 to buy
see that.
shares.
So yes, it is.
$5 to buy shares.
She's not calling you to contribute to her wedding, wedding renewal or something like that, or vow renewal or something like that. So, but anyway, folks, it's been a great segment tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, we'll see you guys back here tomorrow, same time. Thank you so much. You guys have a good night.